This just in, the Six-Day War, also called 1967 Arab-Israeli War, the Third Arab-Israeli War, June War of 1967, is happening.
Events leading up to this conflict include attacks conducted by Palestinian guerrilla groups against Israel that had increased in Syria, Lebanon, and Jordan.
In November of 1966, an Israeli strike on the village of Al-Samu in Jordan, West Bank, 19 dead and 54 wounded.
In April 1967, airstrikes from the Israeli Air Force shot down 6 Syrian fighter jets.
After this, in May, the Soviet intelligence had acquired knowledge about military operations Israel was planning against Syria. Even though this was not true, it heightened the tensions between Israel and its bordering Arab nations. In May, the Egyptian president was under lots of pressure due to the fact that he had not helped Syria and Jordan against Israeli forces.
On May 14, 1967, the president sent out that he supported Syria 100% and took many measures to close the Gulf of Aqaba off from Israeli merchants. This was extremely insulting to Israel.
On May 30th, King Hussein from Jordan signed a document stating that his forces were now under Egyptian control, and soon after this meeting, Iraq joined in.
On June 5th, Israel conducted an airstrike that destroyed 90% or more of Egypt's air force.
On June 7th, UN Security Council called for a ceasefire between Israel and Jordan. Both sides gladly accepted.
Egypt agreed upon this the next day. Unfortunately, Syria continued to hit villages in northern Israel. Israel countered by capturing Golden Heights, a hilly area overlooking the upper Jordan River Valley, from Syria on June 9th after a brutal day of fighting.
All sides took devastating losses. Egypt lost over 11,000, Jordan 6,000, and Syria 1,000 people. Israel, on the other hand, had only lost 700 people. Arab armies took losses in equipment and weaponry, and this caused Nasser to be demoralized by his public. So he announced that he would resign.
However, he did not because of many demonstrations around trying to stop his resignation.
Guess who's back, back again. Shady's back.
After this, it caused even more conflict due to the new territories under Israeli rule that had never been there before.
The motive of the Six-Day War. Israel adopted a policy of diverting water from the Jordan River to the Negev Desert, and this became the cause of the tension. Angered Arabs threatened to divert this flow into Lake Galilee. A few months later, Israel bombed Syria and began implementing the policy.
The Six-Day War had affected the region for a long period of time. Jordan's decision to join the fighting increased the refugee problem by prompting some inhabitants of the West Bank to cross the Jordan River to the East Bank of Jordan. Many of the displaced people were able to return to Israeli-controlled West Bank and, along with their neighbors, witness unprecedented economic growth over the course of the next 10 years. Israel's investment into the government of the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, along with policies that allowed Arabs to move freely, which increased the standard of living of Palestinians, who are now able to work both in Israel and in the oil-rich countries in the Middle East.
The war also put a strain on Christian-Jew relations in the U.S., and some Jewish leaders faulted Christian intuitions for not speaking out against Arab enmity towards Israel in the weeks before the war. Christian publications initially acknowledged Arab responsibility for the war, but by 1968, Christian commentators and activists started using different lens. One of the Arab innocence and Zionist culpability to interpret the Arab-Israeli conflict.